What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. How's everyone doing tonight? Happy Friday if you're watching this live. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I know some of you are looking forward to 3 days off. I'm looking forward to 5 days off. However much time you got off, celebrate it. Remember the reason you got it off, and hopefully you could chill with us tonight as we talk about something I think, if you're watching this channel, is important to all of us. And I know I couldn't talk about it alone, so I got some help with me tonight. But another episode of the Roundtable, as it says right up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our guests tonight. I'm going to let them introduce themselves because I see them as expertise in what they do. So I'm going to let ladies go first. And I'm going to bring in my friend here, Tracy. What's up, nerdy film girl?
Hello, KB. I love that intro.
Welcome back to the channel.
Yeah, my channel's been not putting out anything recently, but I'm still active and watching movies as always, and I will get back on it as soon as possible. But I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me and the gang on the channel.
Yeah, of course. I'm proud to say that the two gentlemen that will be joining us tonight, I got introduced to both of them on your channel. So it's only right that we speak to them as we speak to you on this topic. So I'm just going to go here to the left and bring in the next gentleman. As soon as I saw him, I was like, yo, you got to get on the channel as soon as possible. So I figured this is a great time to bring him in. Anyway, we got Jon Automates in the house.
How's it going? Yeah, I do marketing. That's what I do. I do film marketing, and I worked in film marketing before. I had internships on film marketing before, and that's what I talk about primarily on my videos on my channel. So I mainly go into that end of things, and whenever we're all on podcasts and things together, that's usually where I'm coming from. So that's primarily where will be coming from today.
That's good, because I don't think people realize how much things like everything from marketing and numbers affect it. But I mean, I'm going to start off our first topic just bringing up one thing, and this is just a great example of how marketing and the results of that can end up being in a dire situation for a film. But before we do, let's bring in him. I think I would say this man, I've watched most of his videos since I was introduced to him, because every time, like, I like video essays and stuff like that, where they're talking about like a topic like cinematography or like breaking the fourth wall or something like that. But this dude got me thinking. He got me thinking about some stuff. I'm just going to bring him in. We got the Bonebridger in the house.
You know, I think you described my whole life perfectly there. Got me thinking is, I bet every teacher thought that, good or bad. I bet every person was like, what is happening?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I will highlight two videos in particular. The one about streaming and the strategy that we should all be using. Don't keep those streaming services on all the year. You know, decide like June. I think we all know when we get to streaming, June's going to be the hotness for streaming. I don't care what you're into.
Yeah.
You're into some hotness, you're going to be streaming in the month of June. Or maybe in the month of July, after, you know, a few things have started, and then binge, and then cancel. So
I am a firm believer that I thought about like monthly putting out these things of what months do you actually need certain streaming services and what months should you just not have them. Who knows how long that'll last? Yeah. They're gonna come for me. They're gonna be like, this
Amazon
guy
will be the first one.
probably will be.
Never see you again. I'm telling
you. One. And then
it happened.
Discovery will be right behind it. So
that's right. I'm surprised they haven't come for me yet. I pick on Warner Brothers Discovery any chance I get. Like
They keep trying to roll sevens and keep rolling snake eyes. That's all I see.
They do. I want them to succeed. I really do. But
right? Excellent chance after the Sony debacle. What do? You know, it'd be great if we put out stuff on our channel at the same time. No. Then you wonder why you struggle in other places.
Yeah.
I know that John started to talk about it, but I'm going to let each one of you get a spotlight and, just get into it. And I know, Tracy, you said that your channel's not, you're not putting out as much content as normal, but it's not like you're not doing also other things on the side. So tell them about some of the other things you've been doing.
Yeah, well, I'm always with the ISO Cubes on Friday mornings. I will be, I think, actually very soon back on the Monday Night Movie Madness with these two gentlemen for the members only stream. Definitely just got back into some screenwriting, and like I had writer's block for a really long time, and it wasn't until I saw Baby Reindeer that I really got back into that mindset and was really inspired. So, and I'm sure everyone knows what that is. So, yeah, changing some side jobs and things like that to pay the bills, and so
See, that New Yorker hustler mentality is in you. It can't leave. You know how we do.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You take that hustler mentality with you.
So. Yeah,
that's true. I had to leave.
Okay, since you started talking, so where are you now?
I moved closer to where Bonebridger is. I'm out in the woods now. I'm in North Carolina. I am in Charlotte, and Charlotte is it's been a good situation, good experience. And if I am not doing videos, actually do have a day job, but mostly I am trying to do all those things, make sure that channel stays up. And then I'm writing a little thing on the side, a little small 5 to 8 minutes movie, and we'll see how that goes once we start getting submissions and everything for it.
Yeah, I mean, as we're talking about, you three were talking about earlier on Bonebridger's channel, it's like that seems to be the move. We went from full feature to shorts to shorter shorts to now like you got to advertise on like the shortest of shorts because that's the only place you get attention. So yeah, you had your stream earlier. We're going to cover some of those topics in some sense, but tell the people, well, first of all, the name. That's probably one thing people are wondering. What's up with the name? Where did the name come from?
So the name comes from a Dungeons and Dragons D&D game I played with my brother when I was in high school. He had been, and my brother's like gets paid like Dungeons and Dragons host, like next level. He's awesome. But I had never played, and he finally convinced me and my friends to play. So he's like taking it serious, and I am my usual self. I'm always this way. There's nothing about this YouTube thing that's not just how I am in public and just in general. But he said, what's the first thing you want to do? We were playing a game. We didn't even know what kind of game we were playing yet. We just picked our people. And I said, I wanted to build a bone bridge out of someone. And he lost it because we weren't even in, nothing had happened. Nothing bad had happened. And ever since then, I've like, well, that's just going to be a name I keep. So it became my YouTube persona. And I'm shocked that it had like an effect of like people liked it. Like that still baffles me that it's like well received.
Well, a lot of people are liking what you do. So tell the people what you do.
I don't really review movies. I do love movies. I'm a screenwriter. Short story is I sold 3 screenplays literally the week before COVID. So the worst time ever to sell screenplays. And fast forward to 2 years ago, I was like, let's just do YouTube and see what happens. And I have strong opinions, I guess, but I try to have fun with it. But I'm really fascinated with the industry and where it's heading. And I have friends that work in the industry, and I don't know. I'm fascinated about how people consume entertainment, how that's going to change, and how the movie studios need to change before they lose their chance. That's kind of my whole thing.
And that's why you guys are the perfect team for me to have this conversation with, this little round table. We are not alone, so I want to give a quick shout out to some people here in the chat. Let's see who's joining us. We got Tiana. What's up, T? Happy Friday to you. We got Johnny. What's up, cool kid? Brother Dell in the house.
Dell.
Yes.
We got Vernon Hampton.
Hey, Vernon.
Ready to go. We got Mama Blu-ray in the house. What's up, Bonnie? Just here to support Bonebridger and Frank.
Oh yeah, Frank is always happy for the support. At KB, if you don't know Frank, I mean he's my assistant, and he's a bear.
I've seen the yes, I've
Okay,
seen
just you know,
the backgrounds and the overlays and the thumbnails and everything. So I will tell him, if you like what you see, please come back, do all the stuff, blah blah blah.
yeah,
I don't really talk about it, I just throw it up so people know.
Yeah.
But definitely welcome for sure. Let's see who else is here, because I want to get to you guys. I want to get to the roundtable discussion. Let's see, people saying hi to each other. My friend Laren is here.
Very
Good
cool.
evening,
Laren.
sir. Let's see, I don't want to skip anybody. I know this guy. What's up,
Max.
bro?
Max.
Maxfield in the house. Tracy bringing the class, and Navina.
As always.
You always gotta love.
it's important.
Yes, always good to see Tracy. Period.
I got a little myself.
There you go.
We're adding to it.
On? I know I got H2R. I'm on antibiotics, but what are we sipping on there? I see a little California red, maybe.
This is a Pinot.
Okay.
Pinot for me, and water in the Giants cup.
There you go.
How it goes.
Yes.
What about you, Trace?
I made it's sacrilegious, but I made a red wine spritzer because it's so hot out today. So like a Lambrusco, you know what I mean? It's similar.
I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you. My best times was with a good Lambrusco, so I'm not even hating on it. View with the Drew is here. Darian joined NFG. Somebody knows what that means. I'll just go
John
with that.
and NFG. John and Nerdy Film Girl now.
There you go. We got Adrian James here. What's up, sir? Crown Royal 0232, the squad. I'm so happy to have you guys all together. You don't know. I could easily get Tracy. Tracy could easily get me. It's like, hey, can you come on? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
no, this is fun. We've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, same here, man. And thank you all for doing this, because I'm serious. This is right up your alley. My God. I feel almost like this is going to be a continuation of what the three of you were talking before, and then taking a little further. There's my sweetheart. Thank you, Basket Garden. I appreciate that. My sweetheart, Draculina Horrors here. What's up, Caprice?
Very cool picture.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a cool picture.
She has another one too, but it's both badass. You gotta love it.
Very cool.
Stephen Wilson, all is well, sir. Good to see you. What's up, E? My man from Canada. What's up, Eric? Boom, boom, boom. Yes, you got a native New Yorker from Queens, also living in NC over there. He's in Durham.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta get out to appreciate what you left. That's all I gotta say. Let's see, Holland Oates in the house. What's up?
Hey, always sunny.
Yeah,
that's so good.
You gotta love the references sometimes, you know. Anybody else who jumps in, thank you. Yeah, and this is part of the magic right here. You gotta love that. It's like a 3-part version of Wonder Twins coming together. Cal L, what's up, dude? It's a very nice panel, my man. Very nice. Gung Chi, what's up? I always got to say, he's from Taiwan. He's in Taiwan. So
very cool,
man.
That was an awesome
Mr. Moore, what's up to everyone in the chat, the panel? What's up to you, sir? People saying hi to each other. Love to look at the comments, highlight.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
I agree. Dan.
It also takes up a lot of room, but we love it. Beer for you. Hey, it all depends on the beer. That could be fancy too. If you have any questions for us as we go along, just hop in there. We'll try to get to it as we can. We're going to really focus on 3 main topics, but of course, as you can imagine, there's a bunch of subtopics in there. Because of the expertise of the panel, we're going to focus first and foremost on the state of the cinema. I mentioned earlier an example that we'll start off with. Today is the 24th, so 3 days ago, this lovely little film called The Fall Guy showed up on digital streaming. And the reason we're talking about it in cinema is because Tracy's face says it all. It's a result or lack thereof of its success that brought it probably, I always picture the villain clawing on the edge of the cliff and then they start like they're falling and it's like they're just grabbing for air. So even when you have a good movie, even when you have an original movie, you get a situation like this because it's not supported. I had fun with it. I saw it early. It was I went to a screening of it and I'm like, oh, this is fun. And then I thought about it. I'm like, nobody's gonna see this. Nobody's gonna see this. They're not even gonna, people are just gonna be like, man, or I'll wait till it's on streaming, or I'll wait and get the physical. And it's sad because people want a good time at the movies and just leave, half bag of popcorn and say that was good. This is what that was. It's not something that's going to rock the box office. It's not something that's going to be, something classic and memorable. It was just fun. It was the beginning of the summer blockbuster fun, or at least it was meant to be. So since you're covering your face, I know you got opinions on it. What do you got to say about it, Tracy?
I did not know it was coming to digital so soon. And
they didn't know either.
Yeah, I made predictions on like IsoCube, like our stream we do on Fridays. I made predictions like this movie's gonna have legs, blah blah blah. I mean, it's a great visual film, like for like all the stunt work to see on a big screen. You would think that would sell people. You would think Ryan Gosling would sell people. People really like Emily Blunt, yeah, and like maybe the trailer was too confusing for people what it was, but I don't know, like the film's not perfect, like the pacing, there's issues for me with pacing, but like overall I thought it was really well done, and I wish a movie like that that's trying to be a big blockbuster movie is being supported, because everyone that's the complainer on YouTube, this is exactly what they want, like they would have wanted,
Yep. And fellas, feel free to jump in at any time. I'm just setting them up. Y'all knock it out. So,
well, we do predictions constantly, and Night of Film Girl is more often right than wrong, and she's called a number of things. But I feel like I was pretty much upfront in knowing that, and I saw it, and I had fun with it too. KB, we probably have the exact same opinion on it, but there's this thought process of, I've seen this same kind of movie, not action-wise, but the rom-com aspect. I've seen it on streaming. This is a streaming movie, and if they had a commercial saying at the end, this is going to Netflix, would have been the #1 movie for however long, would have gotten more views on that, obviously. But they tried to push it in theaters, and I think everybody's looking at it like, well, I could just wait. And this is one of those movies where I feel like people are saying, I can just wait. I just saw Furiosa. I think that's going to be another one where people are going to go, I could just wait. And there's going to be a host of movies like that.
The only thing I would say Furiosa has going for it is that it's opening on a long weekend. So if you're off by Monday, maybe you might be like,
and I'm hoping it does well.
The barbecue ain't until later. Let's just go and see this. That's the only thing that might save it.
Okay,
I think prediction for this weekend. I know they just dropped it.
I think it's low 30s domestically now.
It is low. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they were predicting for Fall Guy like not even like low 20s, and it didn't even hit that. So it's a shame.
I'm baffled by the Fall Guy. Like in terms of the overall like failure, I guess is the best way to put it. I would love to poll people that watch it on streaming versus the theater, and know if they were planning that no matter what. Like, were you planning to just watch it on streaming, like from the get-go? Or were you like, because the reviews weren't bad, like the reviews wouldn't have pushed you, I don't think. So it's almost like you knew it was going to streaming. Like you just had this feeling it was going quick. Or I think that this is one of those movies that really raises my eyebrows, because Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes makes sense because it's huge sci-fi. There's an audience built in for sci-fi, especially like existing sci-fi that did well. It looks really great. Like the trailers looked great. I mean, there's no complaints there. Furiosa is the one that I think is going to really send a message because if it does as poorly as a lot of people are worried it's going to do, that's baffling to studio people, I think, because the movie's not bad, but for it to make 150 potentially worldwide, if it could stall out at 150 total, and that would be a disaster. I don't know. I don't know. It's bizarre. There's like John said, I can see The Fall Guy being a streaming movie, and I could see Furiosa not doing as good as Fury Road. But if it falls under 200 million, we're in a conversation. You're telling me it only beats Madam Web by 50 million? That I don't know. That's bad.
Also, don't forget April 23rd, about a week before The Fall Guy came out. What did they do? Now, I am of this opinion. I know a lot of people don't agree. I am of the opinion that we are now at a point where Glenn Powell is a bigger star than Ryan Gosling. Now, I know a lot of people would give pushback. That's fair. But what happened on April 20th? Yes, he right now for sure, right? Like at least right now. And so they release the Anyone But You on Netflix. It's the #1 movie for like 2 straight weeks on Netflix with Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney, and then it comes out right before Fall Guy comes out. And now, is there a 1-to-1 where one affects the other? Maybe not as high as you might think, but I'm sure it had some kind of effect if you can see the kind of rom-com, because it was obvious The Fall Guy was a rom-com. So if you can see one ahead of time, you don't have to really spend your money. All that happens is it makes you go, all right, I'll just wait. Like it's things like that where streaming services start to hurt cinema.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, the marketing guy is there when I came out, and he said, well, out of theater, what's your opinion of it? I said it was a nice way to wrap up a rom-com within an action movie. The only thing that it had going for it is that we always like to see a movie about making movies. And this was a nice dedication to, the stunt people and everything like that. And yes, it's based on previous IP, but the majority of people 40 and under don't know that IP.
Right.
I know Lee Majors, so I got, the post-credit scene, blah, blah, blah. But it's like most people are like, should we stay home and watch a rom-com, like you're saying, with the It Boy and the It Girl of right now? Or do we go and see the guy from La La Land and Quiet Place? Right. And then you hear, like, they were okay. I didn't really buy their chemistry, and other people loved it. Once there's divisiveness, people stay away.
Yeah, you're right.
It's sad. What were you going to say, Trace?
Oh no, I actually, my wheels were turning when John was saying this, because like I was so adamantly against the concept of Ryan Gosling being not as popular as Glenn Powell, and I even did polls, but I have a much older demographic of friends, and I think if you really think about it, like if you're going to do a date night and you're Gen Z, you're going to do what you do first of all, which is always streaming something, and it's going to be the Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell rom-com. Like, so,
Which, for the record, I think that movie is pure garbage. The Fall Guy is definitely a better movie, but it didn't matter. And budget matters in that. Anyone But You had the budget of, like, I don't know, you could, like, go into McDonald's is the same budget.
Yeah, it was nothing.
So I don't know, of course. But it is interesting that movie did so well comparatively to The Fall Guy. Like,
there's an age factor.
I think
the age
so.
factor, right?
Age factor is like capturing who's popular, and very similar to like the J-Law comedy last year. If there was nothing out there, there's a vast in a genre or subgenre, and all of a sudden you have one and it's halfway decent. People kind of glom onto that. And then just to go back to your point, John, when they have people who actually, we're kind of like the testers now. You went to the theater, you saw it, or you went to a screening, you saw it, and you made a review, and you're like, oh, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. That doesn't get people into the theater anymore. This is not Siskel and Ebert time. What it does is, I can't wait to see that on streaming.
Yeah.
And then it's, like you said, #1 for 2 weeks in a row. So it's crazy. Man. Let's catch up on a couple of comments here. I saw my man Steve Moody hop in. What's up? Dan says stars don't sell people anymore. Beyond that, it didn't have much buzz. It's true. It's true.
I agree.
Ruben jumps in. The bridge is beginning to grow. I've been down. I've just been lurking. Eric says they want original and don't show up to the theaters, but they'll always show fast movies.
Agreed.
But you know what?
Oh,
You know what you get with a fast movie. I will say this: when Fast 5 came out, we already knew that it was, it is what it is. It's just visual trash. And then Fast 5 ended up being a good movie, and you were surprised. And then you came back from Fast X, it's like, oh, back to the formula. So by the time we get to Fast X, it's like, yo, I'm just here for the laughs. It's not, they put a super in space, so it's like we don't care.
God, a super and two black dudes in space. What?
But
thank you.
I stand by this. If they just do what they need to do and make this a prequel to Riddick, it is the best franchise in history. If they just do what they need to do and send Vin Diesel into space as Riddick at the end, that's all they got to do is just shoot him out of a cannon into space. He becomes Riddick.
At this point,
and that's the thing. They will abandon a good franchise just because it may not hit box office numbers. It might have the critical success, and you've seen it where the Rotten Tomato scores, which I take with a grain of salt, is critic high, audience low, but then audience love it when it's on streaming and physical and TNT for 11 times and whatnot. So super excited for Bad Boy. You know what? If you're looking to get into the industry right now, get into trailer making, because you can make some crappy movies look real good. I'm gonna be honest. I'm excited for Bad Boys 4 too.
I gotta be honest. I think Bad Boys is gonna make money. Now, I've said this numerous times. I really do. I think it's going to do better than Furiosa. I think it's going to do better than The Fall Guy. I literally think it's getting a good 2, if not 300 million. Now, I could be completely wrong.
Because older generations, whether we realize it or not, still go to the theater because that they remember when that was the option. So you might have streaming and physical, but an established franchise, they want it back in the theater, which is why I wish they would have did the same thing with the Beverly Hills thing. They might have made a few more dollars.
That drives me crazy. I saw the trailer like today or yesterday.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I am so excited for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I am too. It did win me over. That last trailer they did, it actually did win me over. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm kind of digging this now.
Yeah, but if you're not getting into generative AI on a more techie side, get into trailer making. Learn some Premiere Pro and get into trailer making. Can't lie, Fall Guy trailer didn't draw me in. I didn't even see it, so it's all good. I hear you though.
It didn't.
D. Marcel, what's up? Here for Bone John and NFG. What up? Welcome to the party, man. Appreciate you. They need to learn how to make movies on a budget. Yeah, Fall Guy had practical effects, and the word practical should mean less money. Insurance is expensive.
Yeah.
If a movie is less expensive, they would have been more viable. I think, Bone, you were talking about something earlier where it didn't matter how well the movie did because the budget was low. And I think that's
Garfield.
Yeah, I think that's where the magic is now.
And the Strangers as well.
And the Strangers.
Yeah. That's going to be a box office success, even though the movie is trash, because it's not costing a lot of money. So if it covers, marketing and budget, everything after that is gravy. So it really doesn't matter.
And that's what scares me about that is you would think that you'd find people that can make movies like Megan cheap, Barbarian, like all those great movies that had lower budgets. I'm worried they're going to just be like, no, we just want to find people that can make movies cheap. It doesn't matter if they're good. Like that could be like John brought up the other night with the Strangers movie. It might go the other direction a little. And I don't like that because that could lead to a lot of Blumhouse, and Halloween will be a real test of what we're about to get, because it could go real, because they make such cheap stuff. And it could be horrifically bad. I mean, and that's saying something for a franchise that's made a lot of bad movies in the last 20 years, But
they roll the dice and they win more than they lose. That's why they're getting.
They make money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Couple more comments and we'll get back into it because we have a lot more to talk on cinema. Love Gosling and Blunt, but I don't think either
I've heard
either
this a lot.
draws. It's true.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah. I wish the trailer for Furiosa displayed more of the practical effects, less CGI. You know what I think? I think the true movie lovers love the fact that, you know, George Miller relies more on practical effect and less CGI. Most moviegoers don't care. And it's sad. It's sad because they just want a good time. They want it short, which I wish the industry would understand because attention spans are getting shorter. So these 2.5 hour movies, if you're wondering why people aren't going, it's because they don't have the attention span.
90 minutes.
Clocking in at the same time as Lawrence of Arabia, you know.
And
90
gentlemen,
minutes.
I just rewatched, I hadn't seen it in such a long time, The Godfather. And I can't believe how well paced that movie is. That 3 hours or 2 hours, it flies by. I mean, compared to all the 3 hour movies I've seen in the past like 3 years, it flies by. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And the whole thing is, you as a cinema goer, I think your attention span has increased. But if you're watching TikTok all day, which is the people they want to get in the theater, you better go back to them 1980s 94-minute movies because you hit 100 or more, you know, people are clocking out. So a couple more, then we'll get back into it. Let's see. Surprised how many people our age don't remember the Fall Guy TV show.
Fall Guy.
Didn't help. What's up, Mika? I think the way movie viewing has been changing for some time. We'll talk about that in a minute. Pandemic really kicked that in gear. Yeah. I think this was a social experiment. Don't quote me on that. Turnaround films are so quick. Why not stay at home and wait for streaming? Yeah. Same thing with physical. You know, people like, why go? It's just going to drop on physical in 8 weeks. So, but you are right. Nothing beats that theater experience. Is that all of your preference between the three, streaming, cinema? Be honest.
Oh, no, I hate the theater. I've said this openly. I don't have any problems talking about how much I hate the theater. I hate the theater because other people, not because of me. Because when I go, I'm quiet. But when other people go, suddenly it's I need to turn on my phone so I can see the food that I'm eating. Or I've seen people do Instagram. What's the Instagram reels going on? You're at the theater. Nobody cares that you're sitting down. Listen, I can't do it.
Bootleg.
I used to go to a bougie theater before 2020, and it was awesome. Dolby seating, like everybody had their own waitress and waiter. It was like next level awesome, and everything changed at that theater after that. So then we started going to a different one, and then my biggest thing is I used to love going for those experiences, and now I'm almost like, oh, I gotta go when nobody else is going. I need to sneak in there real early. I try to go to those 3 o'clock showings if I can now.
Yeah, that's I miss that for like when I wasn't working. It was like I could hit like that 2:30, 3 o'clock. You know, oh, you busy? You got to go pick up your kids, and you got to go home and start making dinner, and you're still at work. It was great. I could go the same thing, you know, the bougie theater. I'll go to the Dolby Cinema and get my full surround immersive experience, come out, be all happy. And it's like, oh, it's rush hour. Great.
I go at 10 a.m.
Still talking about
that's when I go.
Guy. Yep. Professor Strangefinger, good evening. Excited about seeing Furiosa on the biggest screen we could find. That's a good segue into what I want to talk. There is still success in the cinema, but the places that we find it is weird. So I'm thinking like Oppenheimer, when people wanted to find those 70 millimeter film IMAX experiences, and those theaters were sold out, and you had people coming from states away to go see it, and it's almost treated like a weird phenomenon. What do you think about that? And do you think if we have more experiences, would that save? I think that's the whole thing. It doesn't matter how we're looking at movies. People are looking for a savior. We're looking for some methodology to save what we know as far as like cinema and movie going.
I think it's absolutely theaters need to have more IMAX theaters. That's the only way that movies are going to be able to be successful. That's what people, I mean, they're always sold out first. That's clearly what people want. That and then movies that are events. But I think like the upgrading, and I know it's really difficult because it costs a lot of money for these cinemas to do that. But if they're already in the negative, there's got to be a way to like maybe add like 2 or 3 more IMAX theaters into each, or in some capacity.
Yeah, I also think going back to runtime, they want more money, but they keep making longer movies. If you have a shorter movie, you could get an additional, showtime or 2. Hello.
Yes, which is why I think
money.
Deadpool's a short like 2:18 or something, or like a 2 hours. Like it's not super long, so they can like really load up the Deadpool Wolverine and make bank off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The IMAX, like I was just going to reference this because, and it may not be the biggest anymore, but I have a friend that lives in Savannah, Georgia. And for years, the biggest IMAX in the world has been in Savannah, Georgia. And that movie theater pops off every weekend. Let me tell you, I go down there and we'll see stuff sometimes. And it is unreal how busy that movie theater is and how packed that theater gets for the screen. And it's people love it because it's just so big. So like Jurassic World Dominion, I was like, I don't want to see this. This is going to hurt my brain. But if I'm going to see it, I'll go to Georgia and I'll see it with this, friend of mine on the screen. And that theater that night, you would have thought they were giving away money. People were going bonkers to get into that theater, packed out. I mean, they had police directing traffic for just a Friday night movie. Wow. I was like, now that is smart because all that theater has is these giant IMAX screens. And I'm like, that's an experience. Like you're in, and it has the great seats, the reclinable seats with your own tray. And it's just, I'm like, that's what it might have to become, is where you have something. I have like 22 theaters in proximity, and my McDonald's might be more comfortable seating than those 22 theaters in proximity.
I got a lot of comments here, but I want to jump to one because I'm going to use it as a transition. Oh, for one, Mindless Meat, welcome to the chat. When did 2 hours become a short movie? We've been conditioned.
Napoleon did that to me.
We've been,
Napoleon did the Flower Moon and
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Killers of Flower Moon. Yeah, that's another one that did that to me.
Well, I think I learned my lesson from Irishman because I was like, I love Scorsese. I'm like, I'm going to see Uncle Marty on the big screen. It was a screening for it on a Saturday. I think it started like 11:30. I walked out, it was dark. I'm like, no intermission. We talk about movies that were 2.5 hours back in the day with an intermission. That thing was 4 hours plus, and it was dark when I came out, and there was no intermission. I was like, damn.
Yeah, that's tough.
Here it is. I don't think Oppenheimer does anywhere near as well if everyone doesn't tie it to Barbie. Yeah. This is true, but I don't think the Barbenheimer people were the ones going to see Oppenheimer in the 70 millimeter film IMAX theaters. But I will go to another example. Let's go back. I want to say it was Monday when I got the email and it says Deadpool and Wolverine tickets are now on sale. And I was like, oh man, great. Let me go AMC Stubs. Let me find, my favorite seat, Dead Center. So I get, the full Dolby surround. All the seats, all the rows in that area sold out. And then next day we find out that it was the quickest movie on ticket sales for a rated R movie. So it's not necessarily an event. Sometimes it's just certain movies just, capture that magic. And John, I heard you earlier saying that you think by the end of the year, that's going to be a top 5 and knocking down a certain other movie. I agree. that Deadpool is going to be the first movie magic that we have this summer. So is it just a movie, or is it like this weird random lightning in a bottle, whether it's Barbenheimer or something like this?
I think some of that is to go against Disney. I think as a whole, a lot of people and to the point where it used to be, oh, you only hear about how bad Disney's doing on YouTube. No, you hear about how bad Disney's doing, period. If you follow finance, you hear about how bad it's doing. If you follow anything with the whole Nelson Peltz and all of that, that became mainstream. Like people know about this now on a regular level.
Yeah.
So
Like
now
normal
you have
people.
a thing. Normal people, right.
Yeah.
And so now you have a thing where everybody's like, well, you know what? Marvel movies have fallen off. And then we started to see that, right? People started going to these movies and were like, nah, I'm good. And then people stopped going to the movies. And then it became a problem. And then when some of the shows came out, it was indifference. Disney doing the whole was it I'm Marvel Jesus, that's what he says in the trailer. Like Disney and Deadpool, or him making fun of Disney and things like that, a little bit of it feels like we're just going to support Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, the destruction of like this, the same way people went to Guardians mainly to finish out the story and support James Gunn more than to see anything MCU related.
Guardians is a great reference point of, we saw how well it did because it was the end of an era. Like fans came back out to see that. And this feels like the ultimate era ending thing with Wolverine, because like, that's like if we're going to put the mountain of characters right now, he's up there. I mean, now that Iron Man's not in the equation, but I think you're right. I think that there's going to be people who see this movie because there's a little group of people out there, and it might be bigger than we think, that want to see Disney get made fun of in their own product. Like that concept of we've hit that point. Because I know Disney's trying to play it off as cool, but I bet you not everyone thinks it's cool behind the scenes. That it's like, you know, I bet there's some people that are a little like, wait a minute, they're gonna do what? You know, I mean, if you're a Marvel person, they're about to make a mockery of the TVA, of the timeline, of everything that you've done. And apparently he's going to the worst moments in Marvel. Like he's going to jump around in these moments that didn't go right and fix them. And if She-Hulk is on that list, it's going to be amazing, but the outrage is going to be tremendous.
Yeah.
Outrage for what? for what? Let's be honest. What are we doing? What are we outraging for? She-Hulk is one of the best superhero characters we have, period, from Marvel. Like point blank. If you are She-Hulk's a fantastic character. Yeah. You messed She-Hulk up. You didn't mess She-Hulk up. You're the one who got the writing and everything. Yeah. That's what you guys did. And so when people then criticized it,
trailer levels when you did,
yes, that's a great comparison. Except they fixed their Sonic problem.
They fixed theirs.
She-Hulk made it worse.
I don't know. Anyway, nerdy film guy, I cut you off. Oh, my goodness.
He's like, save me, please.
I totally forgot what I was going to say, and that's totally okay.
What's up, Jeff? Sadly, I think Deadpool 3 might be the only great summer blockbusters this year. I think you might be right.
Summer, yeah, maybe.
Going back, it's a combination of both. You have certain films that have the audience and draw. You do have those films that are lightning in a bottle. People want original stories outside of that. I say they do,
I agree.
But they're not supporting it. They're not supporting that want. I think people just want to bitch. I think that's what it is. People just want to bitch about things not being the way they want it to be, because they're not willing to risk and roll the dice and pay their $18 to go see a movie that is original, unfortunately.
Well, you know what the highest grossing original movie this year is, right?
Tell them.
The Beekeeper. Which is Jason Statham. It came out in January, and it is still in the top 10 of movies this year because nothing's popped off. It's done better than Fall Guy. It's done better than Civil War, Argyle. It's done better than all of those movies. The Beekeeper.
I think studios should look at that window now that used to notoriously be the worst time to put a movie out, and put some heavier hitters.
We do,
yeah.
We do that.
No, you can go.
No, I was just gonna say, I was literally gonna throw it back to you and say, and Nerdy Film Girl, a great example of that is that Night Swim movie. Yeah. It did way more than it should have. That movie is one of the worst things ever produced, and it made 40 or 50 million, which is too much. Blumhouse, I assume.
But I think if you compare that to a similar movie that was released almost a year or two the same time, I think it followed its formula, which was Megan. And I think Megan was a surprise for that post-award season, dead as a doornail season of cinema going. And it was a pleasant surprise. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I got
I
the
love
steel
that
book
movie.
with her looking like a doll in a box back there somewhere.
Yeah,
But
we're
I
all
think
fans.
Night Swim just said
Yeah.
we're going to follow the same formula, and people went and said, "Ooh, it's terrible," but at the same time, it's like, well, we don't have any other horror movies out right now. This goes back to a comment I think Mika made it. Yeah, here it is. People know this.
Absolutely.
Horror always draws people to the theater. Opening weekend, if they can, opening night as a genre, people love that collective experience of the theater. I said it. If I have to see a horror movie and I miss opening weekend, I'm not going to see it because it's not the same experience. You don't get the girl, don't go there. You don't get that stuff there
Yeah.
after the first weekend, but you want that shared experience with an audience. And it's kind of like a throwback to the way things used to be. Now you're
Why is
less
horror?
annoyed with that and more annoyed with, like you were saying, the person with the bright, camera on, or the people
Oh,
talking
actually,
through a
I'm
movie or
glad you
whatever.
said that. I'm glad you said that. Is horror the only time when we accept people talking out loud?
Yes. Yes.
Because at that point, you're like,
Or,
yeah, you know
or
what?
a
I
Tyler
agree.
Perry movie if you're into that.
If you're a Tyler Perry, listen, if you're Tyler Perry and you're black,
Yeah.
you're going to hear it.
Yeah.
It just is what it just is what it is.
And you
Let
want
it
to talk
be.
about moneymakers. Del's wife and everybody else that love Tyler Perry movies, they show out for their movies.
Listen,
It might be the only time
Tyler
they go to the
Perry.
movie that year, but they show out.
Own category.
Yep.
That's where I put it.
Genre. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. We accept it.
I think so.
I finally remember what I was going to say, because this was about Deadpool and Disney, and I feel like it would be an entire episode of Succession of like the CEO of Disney, like Bob Iger, like listening to Kevin Feige, and then like listening to this voice of like, just let them do whatever they want to do. I know it's going to make us look bad, but we need the money, and like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good. That's a good analogy, actually. Yeah.
I think that's exactly how it went down, because they're trying to play it cool. But I have heard from people that I absolutely trust that this Ryan Reynolds negotiation is not how they're portraying it. It was his way, and that was it. Period. Like, just a big exclamation point at the end of it.
Yeah, I don't think they had final look of the script or anything like that. So they're going to
They
be
didn't get to remove
pleasantly
anything.
surprised when it comes out.
Yeah.
Or if they hit a screener already. Okay. See, I had to call Del out because he talks about his wife and her love for Tyler Perry. I hate his movies, but Tyler Perry knows his audience. Yeah. Keep your budget low, rake in the dough. You got that right.
Oh,
You got that
I
right.
do not like
You
Tyler
can
Perry
hate
movies.
it or love it, like the game said, but
Jamie Foxx was in his newest one, Not Another Church
What?
Movie.
I wouldn't know.
No. That's not a Tyler Perry movie. That's not a Tyler Perry
like a
movie.
ratchet looking movie.
Yeah, that's like one of those. Wait, that's one of those Freeberg and Seltzer type. We're just gonna parody it, and it's one of the worst things. I turned it off. I couldn't.
Isn't what's his name's in it? Oh, from the wrestler. Isn't Nicky Rourke in it or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes he is. Yeah, yeah.
Hot mess.
Okay, so
It's-
it's paradising the Tyler Perry.
It's bad.
All right. Last cinema question, and this is easy because I think it's Thursday night. Most bigger
Thursday.
cinemas, it's Thursday night.
I think it's a mistake, though. I think that when they went to Thursdays, that was a mistake. I understand the long weekend and trying to add another night because you're like dedicated fans will go Thursday, so it gives you room for Friday, Saturday. But it did take away the excitement. And in the age of the internet, if you don't see it Thursday, well, good luck not knowing what happens by Friday. And in this age, it's good luck at all not knowing what happens. I think the internet has created a problem. That might just be me, but like you have to stay off the internet. Like you have to stay far away from it. Spoiler wise.
I know I do like this Screen React thing where I'll go on a Thursday night, and if I go to like the 5:30, 6 o'clock show, I know I could put out like a little short, get it out there. So the people that go, say Friday, they have like a quick spoiler-free review. But if I don't go Thursday night, I don't bother.
Right.
By Friday, it's old hat. So why bother? Why?
I'm worried about Deadpool Wolverine because I got a 5:30 showing on Thursday, but I recently found out it's going to be in other countries slightly earlier than our release date, and I'm
That's-
just going to stay away from
something like that.
That's really bad for this movie too, because I've stumbled upon spoilers I did not want to stumble upon, and spoilers could hurt this movie's box office, in my opinion, because there's some things that could be a problem.
Like
When
a
are you
death
seeing
or
it?
appearance.
I'm seeing
I'm
it.
not
That's
seeing
not
it.
happening. It's not happening. That's Taylor Swift is not in the movie. I'm standing by that. When are you all seeing it?
I'm seeing it Thursday at 6:15 Central.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thursday.
5:30.
I'm seeing it Thursday. I'm seeing it at 3 p.m.
Yeah,
You
3.
go, boy.
That's
You
me.
go.
Can't-
By the time you get
can't.
out, I'll be
Oh.
going in. Don't text me.
Well, and that's the thing. There's going to be people post thumbnails that week on YouTube because it comes out in other countries
Yep.
early, and it's going to spoil certain characters in there
Oh.
that, like, and maybe it won't cause you not to go, but it would take a big amount of wind out of your sails if you got
It's
certain things
sad.
spoiled.
It's sad.
Yeah, no internet that week.
Let me
None.
say hi to a few people. I saw Bob before. There's Mike. What's up? Got Cody saying what's up to everyone. Don't forget to
Roundhouse
roundhouse
kick.
like that kick. Roundhouse kick that like button. I swear I'm not drunk.
I screw that one up all the time every time Cody says that. So
Yes, it's a beautiful thing when he does.
yes.
It's a beautiful thing each and every time. I saw my man Prince in here. What's up? Saying hi to Cody. You were talking about Succession. I want to make a little transition to the next one. And because it's really more than just movies, it's a combination of movies, TV, original movies, original series. That's the state of streaming. I know people don't want to hear it because it's the convenience. We were talking about the pandemic and all that period. I think that was our saving grace. It was either that or, people got back into physical because we couldn't do anything else. How many times can you watch Invisible Man? But that was the best movie out when the pandemic happened. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was actually it was.
But I think as an experiment, for lack of a better term, I think it's been highly unsuccessful. And I think if audiences, I don't think audiences care, because I was doing my old man on a soapbox scribe to my wife because I was like, I'm pissed that I pay for streaming services and I still have to watch commercials. And she's like, what do you pay for? I was like, well, Netflix to start. She's like, well, if you pay a little bit more, you don't. I was like, we're paying enough.
Yeah.
Disney Plus, I canceled. My daughter has Max. We got commercials on that. I'm all about like either physical now, or is it on Hoopla? Can I get it through the library? Because it's getting to a point where it's like we're paying for cable 2.0. I want you to start, Bone, because I know you got hot takes on this.
I'm obsessed with this.
Yes, I know you
first of
are.
all, my biggest thing is I think that there's coming a day where it's going to be an even worse problem. And Nerdy Film Girl and John have talked about this with me a bunch. Is I honestly think that churn is the best way, where you just pick and you figure out the schedule and you switch, and because you don't need Paramount every month. 100% don't need Paramount. No one. There is no one on earth. If you're out there watching Paramount every day, I need to talk to you badly for other reasons. We'll talk outside of like some place where I can get you like help or something. I don't know. Paramount scares me, but the idea of the monthly churn works, but the day is coming when they lock you into a year contract. And that is going to be a make or break moment for streaming, in my opinion. And it's not going to be a good moment, but yeah, I wrestle with this idea of streaming was meant to be an escape from cable TV ads. Those days are behind us, because they're going to find a way, even if you pay for the ad-free version. I guarantee you that they're going to find a way to have ads on Monday Night Raw and all these other things coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
Sidebar or something like that.
Yeah.
Don't
Something.
pause it because instantly you get an ad that pops up. Yeah.
Yep.
What are you going to say, John? I cut you off. Sorry.
No. I'm disagreeing with Bonebridger. It's Raw. There is not a chance in hell that Raw runs without commercials. Not a chance. It's the longest running show
NFL.
on, I think. Oh, NFL will run ads too. That's Christmas Day. They got 4 games, I believe, or something like that. They're going to run that. Listen, Paramount is one of the worst streaming services you could ever have. I watched the Super Bowl on Paramount. I didn't finish the Super Bowl on Paramount because that cut out for millions of people, myself included, and everybody was mad and their stock went down like crazy the next day. It's certain ones, KB, you're right. There's certain ones where you're like, all right, maybe I should keep this one. But then there's other ones where it's like, do I really need it? Like, do I have to have it? If I even watch, and it becomes easy to cancel a Disney Plus. It becomes easy to cancel a Peacock and things like that. Netflix and Amazon, you're forced to have it if you have Prime, right? So then it becomes Netflix is kind of the only one where you're like, all right, maybe this is the non-negotiable. But what else is a non-negotiable streaming app?
None other for me. I mean, honestly, if my daughter didn't have Max and live here, I wouldn't have Max. And I think right now between Netflix and Max, those are the two competing for like number one as far as streaming. And I might give the edge to Netflix because of original programming. And that could mean movies, TV shows. I don't know. I would love to see the numbers on when a show returns. Let's say Stranger Things next season comes out. Do they really think there's going to be an uptick on subscriptions for new subscribers to hop on? And I think by that point, you got enough friends. Forget about IP blocking. We got ways around that. There's enough people that got Netflix that you could be like, let me get that password or whatever the case may be. Set me up with an account. But other things, somebody mentioned Apple Plus. Paramount. I think the last thing I watched on Paramount was The Offer, that TV series about the Godfather.
Yeah, that was good,
actually well done.
Yeah,
but I can't talk to anything else on Paramount. So it's just a weird thing that the amount of money that they're losing, and the thing is, they're not saying, "Well, we'll eat it." They're like, "So we know you just raised that subscription by $2. How does another $5 hit you?" It's crazy.
It doesn't. It won't hit me. I'll tell you that much. I am on Paramount, Disney Plus, and Peacock for $2.99 a month a piece. Now, my subscription never ran out. I can do $2.99 a piece. I can do that where it's like, oh, so I have all 3 of them for less than basically a Happy Meal at this point because McDonald's is out of control when it comes to prices. But like, I could do that. But if you ask me to pay just $2 more, you can get right out of my house. I won't do it.
It's not even $2 more. Like, I hate to say this, and I'm ashamed to say this, but I know Apple TV has like incredible shows, and there's so many I've wanted to watch. I haven't watched any of them, and I've paid for Apple TV for like 2 years, and I never use it, and it's like horrifying. You know, I need to stop it. It's too expensive, dude.
Not even for severance?
Yes.
Not no Ted Lasso in the house.
See,
that's
hijack.
That's one that you could definitely do a month of and have a good time and get out of. But I'm saying, Nerdy Film Girl, we pay for it, and I watch it 1 month a year, and I watch everything they have, and I just like go through it. But then I still keep it. I wonder why, because I'll cancel Paramount. I'll rotate the others. I'll rotate Max, and I love Max actually, but I won't rotate Apple, and I won't rotate Amazon, and I don't know why that is. I mean, Amazon makes more sense because of the packaging, but Apple, why I'm not rotating Apple, I have no like love. Like, it's not like I'm like dedicated customer of some kind. But it is interesting why certain streaming services, ironically, the one that it seems the most like in terms of like not working is Peacock. And I love Peacock. But it's not working for Comcast, and they're very upset about it because it's losing so much money, and they can't gain subscribers. At least Paramount has subscribers. They have like 75 million. Peacock can't get over the 25, 29 million mark. Even if they give subscriptions away, people just cancel. They won't keep it.
Which is crazy.
That's crazy. You can't even give them away. And granted, Comcast has a bottom line number with them where if they lose a certain amount of money, they're just not willing to, because Comcast Universal is doing good in everything else. They don't need, like, streaming's the only bad area of their business. which is crazy because their theme parks are picking up.
But they got the
like,
deals. How do you mess up when you have like they have WWE, all the pay-per-views. They have the Premier
football.
League. They have
they
football.
had
They're
all
about
these
to get the
things.
Olympics.
They have The Office, the most watched streaming show pretty much
they
of
got
all
that back
time.
from Netflix when they started Peacock, and it's still not enough.
Still
It's
not enough.
That's
And
crazy.
guys,
It's crazy.
like I just finished because I take a while when it's like a light comedy, the Ted series, and it's so good, and the finale is so good, and I think it was renewed for season 2.
Yep.
That's like a really, really well made show, but like maybe Peacock doesn't need its own streaming service. Maybe they just need to rent things out like Sony does, you know?
But I think the thing is that we're talking studios, really. All the studios are just following the same model, whether it's successful or not. And it's like, well, you have all of your movies on your streaming service. I'm going to take back all my stuff that I licensed out that was successful and put it on mine. And then you get to a point where you're like Max now, and it's like, ooh, we're still not making money. You want to license that out, Netflix? So now you have Warner Brothers stuff showing up on Netflix again, like it was before it was all pulled back in. It's just crazy. And what the audience is not realizing is they're going to keep nickel and diming us because they're not making money off these streaming services. Not a penny. They are more in the red than the colors under our names.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
There's only one profitable, and I think that's what's crazy. It's just Netflix. Everyone else is just using money from other areas. Like you could say, well, Apple and Amazon will never care. I get that.
Right.
Like that makes sense. They're paying for something else. They're paying for the beginnings of access to all kinds of things.
Amazon's is successful, but it's because it's in conjunction with something else.
Right.
So you can't really
and
count
that's
it by
the only
itself.
reason.
Yeah.
It would not be okay on its own. It would be real bad.
Dead in the water.
What's a streaming service all of you have? I mean, Nerd Film Co. basically just said Apple Plus, but what's a streaming service all of you had that's like either you kind of forgot about or you're like keeping, but like you should get rid of it?
I kind of forgot about Disney Plus for the longest time, and honestly, and this is sad because I could literally reach behind me and pull out Avengers Infinity War, and I love needle drops to start with, and talk about a great intro to a group of characters when they play the Rubber Band Man by the Spinners to introduce the Guardians of the Galaxy in that movie. I will not watch the whole movie, but I will go right to that needle drop. And as soon as it's over, I take off the movie. And I was doing that on Disney Plus and paying for it 3, 4, 5 months. And maybe, all right, I don't feel like going and getting the 4K. I'm going to watch Empire and, let's watch some Raven. Y'all know we love Raven. You nasty, but it wasn't enough to justify having a streaming service. So that's mine, Disney Plus.
Bonebridger, what's yours?
YouTube Premium. No, I'm just kidding. It's totally worth it to me. I suffer so
No
much.
commercials.
Oh my gosh, YouTube. By the way, those of you because if you're watching, being a YouTuber, I used to be an ad block guy back in the day. Once you become a YouTuber, they make that impossible for you. I feel like
basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it, but I eventually got frustrated. But no, it's Disney, because the only reason I keep Disney is because of YouTube. Like that's the only real reason. Otherwise, I would churn it. Like I would turn it back on and off. But it's so useful because like Disney just loves to give me opportunities to make videos, and I'm just like, okay, well, what do you got, Disney? What do you got for me? Okay, I'll go. And Hulu. Well, I take that back though. Nerdy Film Girl.
Hulu's been good.
Hulu changed things because now it's all in one. So that I do like Hulu a lot. So
I will say. So sorry, real quick. I think that Disney knows what things people are watching on there, because one of the reasons we have Disney Plus is because of The Simpsons. They have changed the poster in the past 3 months. They'll do a different character change and make it seem like it's a brand new special thing. So like that's absolutely a thing. And then I have been, as I told you guys, I've been really enjoying the X-Men 97. So.
Yeah.
But besides that, I know they have great documentaries on there. but they have to do better.
I want to go back to you for a minute, Bone, because you used this term a couple of times, and I'm not trying to take views away from you. For a matter of fact,
You do it.
I want all of you to check out their channels. It'll be in the comments, in the description after we're done. But describe what you're talking about with the churning.
Oh yeah, churn. So the idea, and this is a term that the studios use, and this is really the metric they care most about. And it's why you're getting all these bundles. Is churn when they know that consumers will get HBO Max for 1 month or 2 months, and then they'll cancel. And Netflix was the first one to experience how bad this can be, because Stranger Things would come out. You would get a massive pop of people that would sign up, but it all comes out at the same night, and they would cancel literally in the same moment because they knew they were going to binge the show. That was why they were on Netflix and they were done. That's why last year Stranger Things got split up, and why they're going to that model. It's why, like Amazon, I get it now. They don't have to worry about churn, so they can still do the binge format where, like Fallout came out at the same time. For some reason, Rings of Power comes out once a week because they want us to suffer, I guess. But churn is just that, the monthly. Like, some customers have figured out, like, House of the Dragon is June through August. All I needed Max for is that, and then I'm done. And I can watch the other stuff I missed at the same time.
Yeah. And even that is like an extension, because normally it would be June, July, but they extended it a little bit more. So you're going to keep it till August. So they get that extra month out of you. It's strategy.
Yeah.
Go, John.
It is.
Sure. You can fight churn rate pretty easily by doing specific things. And I think those specific things people do, because all churn rate is lost customers divided by total customers at the start of the period times 100. So that's literally how they calculate it. And you can fight it, but the way you would fight it, what Bonebridger said before, what we always talk about, is the fact of you got to create longer contracts. So that's what cell phone companies used to do when they first kind of had it. They were like, all right, well, we want to fight against this. So, hey, here's this long-term contract. But everybody hated the long-term contract. So what did they start doing? Well, hey, get this nice little new phone on us and things like that. And people were with it for a little bit, and then it died. And now we're, depending on where you're at, you might have a monthly, you might have a yearly. But there's things like that. They're going to do this for the streaming services, and everybody's going to hate it. And they're going to lose people, and then they're going to offer something as a way to kind of bring those people back, because re-engagement is really, really hard if you don't have something to offer. So, and I don't know if shows are going to do it.
And I noticed, like, I have T-Mobile, and they will change the streaming service that they offer when you start the plan. Like, for a while it was Hulu. That's why we have Hulu, because that's what it was when we started. And then it went to Paramount Plus. Then it went to this and to that. And they're bouncing because who's giving them the best license to go along with it for this 3 months or 4 months, quarterly, whatever it is. So
I think, John, if you're paying $2.99 per streaming service, you should do a short on that and tell everyone how to life hack.
No, I do not want people. Listen. I don't like being a gatekeeper, but I'll gatekeep that. Listen, I've been paying $2.99 for the better part of 3 years. I am gatekeeping all of my stuff. Paramount. I even have Crunchyroll for like a cheaper thing.
Oh, Sony will come for you on that. They're gonna be like that Madam Web short
they'll
creator.
be the first one, boy.
Yeah.
Max is still covered with my AT&T phone bill, so it's free with that. So
that's like my buddy. He was like one of the first original iPhone buyers, and they offered you that lifetime $20 a month, unlimited text, unlimited data, unlimited whatever. And he kept that for up to the iPhone 13. So
I'm surprised his phone worked.
No. He would get a new phone every year, but what he would just buy the phone outright. Even if he had to put it on his credit card, he'd pay like whatever it was, a couple $100, or as phones got more expensive, going into the full rack plus. But to him, it was worth it to only pay $20 a month for that service fee.
Yeah.
And of course, that grandfathered account, that don't work anymore.
No,
it doesn't. Some quick comments here. To me, television streaming is a better storytelling than films. It's true. I think the last 5-10 years have shown us, with everything from Thrones to even today, like things like Fallout, like there's better TV shows, especially on streaming, than films. Writing is on another level. Yeah, because they still employ the fact that, hey, we could get 1 or 2 writers to do a really good job per episode than 1 or 2 or 5 for an entire feature film. It's crazy.
The TV writers' room format does not work for films, and it doesn't work for a lot of these streaming 10 episode things. It's not the 24 episode thing we used to get, back then.
Yeah, and it works so well for like The Office is a great example of you have the person that's really in charge, and then you have the structure, but you need the jokes and the elevation, and 20 people can totally come up with some really funny stuff. And then, like you said, though, movies, though, it is the opposite, because you take a structure like that and you add 20 people, like The Mummy with Tom Cruise did, that literally had 13 screenwriters, which is ridiculous. Honestly, that they should have just thrown that movie out in the trash. They shouldn't have even released it.
Too much money behind it.
Yeah, it's funny how Netflix bought a lot of people. And that era is kind of behind us, where they bought all these really talented people and signed them to exclusive deals. I wonder if Max is trying to do that right now. I don't know if that pays off like it worked for Netflix because they were willing to take 10 years and lose money. I don't know if Max can lose money for the next 10 years. That's a whole lot of time for that debt to just build up. And I like Max, for the record, but I love taking shots at them any chance I get. So, that's what happens when you rent everything to Netflix.
Yeah. It's now I think Netflix is doing that now with actors, because look at how many Sandler movies you're getting. They have something with Chappelle, they have something with Eddie Murphy. So it's weird how they made that switch from, screenwriting to, we're just going to let them make whatever they want for a couple of years. But it works for some people. I still have cable, hardly watch streaming. Either way, you're paying, in
the same at this point. So
I would say the year contract, maybe a lot of companies like DirecTV and Dish are trying to scrap it and having a hard time because they're losing customers too. This is great. Went to ad support so my wife could watch House of Dragons on Max, save myself $6 a month.
Yeah.
Once the house is done, season, Max
take it right to the curb.
And I think June, as we were alluding to before, I think that's where streaming services might have a chance to profit, or at least you're going to see a lot of eyes return into it, because you have 2 great shows right off the top. And I think a lot of other things are catching steam or already have buzz that will support people coming back to it.
I think that you know what's really unique about that is June is such a big month for streaming, especially as we extend it on. Disney already said they're going to lose money on Disney Plus next quarter, and I think that's smart that they said that, because they know the Acolyte will make no difference on subscription. It's not like the Acolyte's going to sign up 50 million people and somehow save their. And John is a great example. Is they've given out deals to so many people that are going to cancel as soon as, like, even if they checked out the Acolyte. But like The Boys and the hype around that is really interesting to me, because I wasn't as excited for previous seasons as I am for this season. And maybe the trailer thing is a lot of it, but I wonder how Amazon, I don't know how they even, like, the Fallout was a success, but they didn't even think it was going to be a success. Did it matter if it was a success to them? That's what I wondered. Like, did they even internally, like, they just release stuff and hope it's good, but the end goal is not subscribers, because they have them. Like, you're not really gaining people on Prime Video. You're just keeping them, I guess. I don't know.
Well, Fallout was lucky, and Reacher was lucky. Those two, they expected Jack Ryan and Rings of Power and things like that to be their big thing. They didn't really expect. The money, they put money into Jack Ryan. They put money into Rings of Power. John Krasinski and Jack Ryan, like, they did a lot for those shows. Reacher was kind of like, oh, we'll just take a stab at it, and then boom, it blows up, and everybody's all here for it. And then the same thing happens with Fallout. It's like, we'll take a stab at it. It's probably not going to be as good as Last of Us, and then boom, that blows up, and everybody's like, well, I kind of like it better than The Last of Us, depending on who you talk to. And so now, it's iffy. Amazon's so weird. some of their stuff is so great, and then some of their stuff is so awful. It's a weird place for them to be in for their flagship shows.
Yeah.
Well, I forget who the wonderful commenter just said that about HBO Max. I know both of these gentlemen know I'm an HBO Max stan. I think that it would behoove you, if you are paying for the month of House of the Dragon, check out some of the things that are out like on there. I think if people are disheartened with current TV shows and movies, they have so many great original series that are just phenomenal, and like those are also like worth to check out.
Yeah.
I really do.
Oh yeah. Wire. I mean, the first season, The Wire, Succession. I mean, there's so many things on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sopranos.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. Thank you, everyone, for the back and forth chat, the comments, the questions. I do want to get to some of those just to continue highlighting them.
Be right back.
Going back to what we were saying here, I keep a spreadsheet of all my sub-services. If I don't use it for a month, it goes away.
Yeah.
Very smart. That's very smart.
I know, that's really smart.
It's a lot of work, too.
I said this to Max. I was like, my boyfriend, I was like, I can't believe we have not used Apple. And he was like, well, we did watch The Godfather on it the other day. And I was like, oh my God, the one time I like feel a craving to watch something, I didn't even realize it was on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Well, your bank offers things now. Like the banks or some of them are in credit cards. They'll offer services now where you can kind of like track it, and there's some apps that do it now. So once the prices start going even higher, that's only going to become more of a thing where everybody starts tracking everything they have.
Yeah.
And those commercials where it's like, I was paying for 2 Netflix accounts and I didn't even know it. Bullshit. Get out of here. That's some nonsense.
Yes.
It sounds good. Sounds good. I don't believe you. You need more people.
Yeah.
Some essential streaming services that we'll keep, such as Shudder, because we're horror lovers. Really depends on what I want to see, where the good writing is and storytelling. Yeah, it's all up to
Shudder's a great one, though.
Yeah, and the thing that I like about it is if you're into that genre, it's really hard to beat. If you want to look at old school stuff, great new movies. When I wanted to see where evil lurks, I had no choice. And that was one of the best horror movies that I've seen in a while. Or, Terrifier, when that was running rampant. If you wanted to watch it at home, you had to go to Shudder. So when a streaming service has exclusivity to certain things and they have a fan base that's based around a genre or subgenre like that, you're going to keep winning. What's up, Hunter?
Hey, Hunter.
What's
KB,
up?
I think Shudder's pretty inexpensive too.
Yeah.
Yes.
As long as it stays that way too, because once again, we got that price creep always looking to happen. We're seeing networks like Hulu and Max have been returning old school ways of TV viewing with a new episode every week. Yeah, people enjoy that because it's a flashback, but it is also a strategy, like we were alluding to before. It's a way to keep you there longer because there are so many people realizing I'll keep this for a month and then dump it. If something's hot and we're far removed from the water cooler talk on the next day, but you can't avoid House of the Dragon talk if you're watching it for 2.5 months. No, you're going to hop in at some point and they're going to keep you for the subsequent amount of time that it's on.
Worked really well that fall. Season 1 came out. They actually had really strong numbers that fall, which I mean, it surprised people too. Like that show held up really well.
Yeah. Prince has a question here. He says, 2 streaming companies merging to create a new app. Is it a good or a bad thing?
Bad.
I think it's going to happen a lot more coming up in terms of consolidation, but it could be really bad long term because Apple and Microsoft, I mean, thank goodness Microsoft's not in this. Apple and Amazon are like they're weird factors in this. Disney and Max working together, that's got long-term implications that are a little eyebrow raising, like in terms of quality, because Max does a level of quality on their TV that has never been seen on the Disney side. They don't have anything that competes. And if those two ever join in a weird way, I don't think the quality will get raised. I think it will get pulled down.
Yeah, because
Sony and Paramount.
money. Yeah. Yeah,
Sony and Paramount working on their deal right now. That's a tough one. I don't think that's a good idea for any.
Yeah,
because all that does is hurt the consumer.
I think
grand
a
scheme.
lot of people are looking at Hulu and Disney coming together and thinking that's two companies. That is the same company.
Yeah.
For example, people in the UK, I think even as close as Canada, they didn't have Hulu. They had everything on Disney. We're just so sensitive here in the States that we can't take something more than PG-13 being related with Disney. But I remember when Pam and Tommy Lee came out, people like, yeah, I can't wait to watch that on Disney Plus. I was like, huh? It was like, no.
What do you mean
it's
Disney Plus?
It's on Disney Plus.
What?
We don't have it. We don't have Hulu here. So
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy. But it's basically saying, hey, United States, welcome. We're one now. It's
That's why we were shocked when Poor Things was on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I was really like,
yeah.
I was like, that's not the kind of thing that I expect
Also, they
to
have
see
like
there.
children accounts, like for children only.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And kids know their way around that too, by the way.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or does Netflix movies feel like they're always missing something? They have that same feel aspect. He's talking about that one with Gal Gadot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, all Gal Gadot and all Rumi Mara movies are the same. Every single one. The Rumi Mara especially, right? Is it Mara or Rapace? No, yeah. What she's Rumi, in everything. Rapace. She's in everything, and it's the same. Everything she's in is the exact same movie. Now I love her and I watch her stuff anyway. But like, call a spade a spade. It's just yeah.
We got Mr. Tony in the house, Basement Blues. We stick with Max for all of the original content they have to put out.
Yeah.
They put out some really great shows. They do. I would say the same thing for Netflix. Netflix shows over Netflix original films for me most of the times. Thank you for all these comments. I want to hear from everybody, so I appreciate all this. Big on the British shows, especially if you're Netflix. My wife and my daughter cannot stop with that great British baking, whatever it is. Lord help me. Lord help me. Yes, it does look too good. We mentioned that before you popped in. It does look too good to be. But he's got that contract I was telling you about. That movie he made with what's his name?
Oh, You People. That movie stunk. But
that was bad.
But you know what? That couldn't be released in the theater. So
he probably cares about this. I think he probably actually cares about this.
Yeah.
I think they'll do what they're doing with Hitman, the Glenn Powell film. I think they'll do like a week in theaters. And then they'll just go right to Netflix.
A lot of hype on that movie.
Formula.
I
think that's a good formula. They did that with the last Knives Out movie.
Yeah.
I went to see it like the last night that it was in theaters, and that place, I don't want to say it was sold out, but I was upset that I had to sit in the front. I can't tell you the last time in this age of reserved seats that I had to sit in the front to see something, but I was determined to see it in theaters, but I had to sit in the front.
The worst.
But I could have waited
sit in the front for
Netflix in a couple of weeks. But
for what?
Good transition spot. Good transition spot. I want to see more physical release of different subscription services. Yep. Here it is. Physical media for the win. I'll be done streaming if they go over anything that isn't just a monthly subscription.
I think a lot of people will.
With that in mind, what can you tell us about this? State of physical media.
That's a tough one. I don't know. Nerdy Film Girl, this is more your territory. KB, this is you. Clearly, you have a bunch of physical media behind you. I don't have a lot of it. Do you?
No, I don't. But I would if I had more space. And I think if you see what's happening now with people or like young kids buying CDs for some reason and vinyl, I get the vinyl, I don't get the CDs. But I think that these companies are kind of out of touch when it comes to physical media. I know, like, at a Barnes & Noble recently. That entire Blu-ray, DVD, 4K collection area was completely packed. And it was, people really excited to buy films. So I think, because again, you could just have an entire physical media collection and not pay anything monthly to watch movies. So, and what if your favorite streaming channel gets rid of that, or you can't find it all? There's so many movies I want to watch, and I'm like, I stayed into the row, and I'm like, I want to watch this, and it's like we can't watch anything. So, I think physical media is a very underlooked value that companies are not really paying attention to, except for obviously Criterion Collection, Kino, all the other boutique companies doing it.
I made humongous mistakes in the past. I had a awesome collection of movies because growing up, this was what I did every weekend. I went and got something and I would rent it, and if it was good, I would try to buy it if I could. And I just kept and collected and collected. And somewhere along the way, I was like, oh, I won't need these anymore. I was like 18 or 19, and I was like, okay, I'll just sell them. And I sold like 500 or something, like in a big box for like nothing. I should have just kept it. But games is where I have big concerns here because like you can't play the games you own without internet service. Same for the movies you digitally download too, if you don't have them on your actual thing. And I'm like, okay, now some games you can, of course, the way they do it, but like I don't like that trend of I pay for it and I don't have access. And I am a big NCAA football player fan, and so if you didn't have the hard copy for the last 10 years, you had to get it some other way, which people do. And that was a problem because it's like I paid for it. Why can't I? Like I own it, right? Like you sold it, maybe you shouldn't have, maybe you didn't do the thing right. But why am I the consumer punished for your business doing the thing? I don't know. Movies, though, it is sad because like Nerdy Film Girl sent me Past Lives, and me and my wife really liked that. We watched it. That was the first physical movie I had watched in years. Like that wasn't at a theater. Years. And I
love that movie.
How
many people did you send that to?
I was
Just
like,
the two of them. It was a Christmas present.
Oh,
yeah, it was the same. First one I watched in years.
Also, that actress, I only refer to her as the consultant girl from the New Girl episode with Nick Miller, and I know that she's in so many good things, but that's who she is.
She was at the Met Gala this year, so she's been moving on up.
Yeah, Nick Miller's girlfriend is doing well.
Greta Lee. Yeah.
The biggest problem I had were these.
Yeah.
These right here destroyed physical media for me because I thought I don't want to have all these games. And so I bought this with no disk drive, and I bought this with no disk drive. And then what did they do? They made it even cheaper. They made it like $100 cheaper to get it without the disk drive. And so now everybody can get it. And they built more of the ones without it than the ones with it. So of course with games, I'm like, oh, but then there was a time when I didn't have internet for a tiny bit. And I was like, well, you know what? To pass the time, I will play some games. Except when you turn it on, your system is basically useless, even for the things you downloaded, Bonebridger. So you're correct on that. Yep. And what did I turn to? I turned to the Nintendo Switch because that's the only thing I ever buy physical media for is that. It's the only thing. And I'm like, you put the cartridge, and then it's like, oh, wow. Yeah,
I'm glad they're
really
winning because of that. Yeah,
they are winning because of it.
They win because of that. Yeah,
that's tough.
So I have to say, it was less about me with this and more about knowing my audience and wanting to have a complete look at all aspects of the movie industry, because like I said in the beginning to the three of you, one affects the other and so forth. So as more people rely on streaming, stores like Target, Best Buy, they get spooked and realize this space that we have for physical media, we could put more refrigerators. I always think of that because that's always what's in my way when I'm trying to get to like a new 4K or something. And I know that that's a good analogy too with the video games. The more reliable we are on things outside of that main avenue to get to a game or get to a movie, it's like all of a sudden it's like, so now I'm reliable on two different things. But it's the same thing with streaming. You don't have a internet connection, good luck streaming. But there's so many other factors, and I mean, I'm not going to repeat what hundreds of people have said about different aspects of why they own or going back to physical media. You know, I think it's refreshing when I see people saying, "Hey, you know, I went to Best Buy and all of a sudden I always remember passing that section. It's not there anymore." And or, you know, what's this thing with they changed the character of Popeye Doyle in, you know, the French
Yeah.
Connection or something like that. There's so many
Oh,
different
yeah.
arguments and everything. I'm not going to repeat all that, but I will go to the comments because I know I have a few physical media people in here, and I'll start with one who's not necessarily a physical media person. Maxfield says, "I miss getting Blu-rays in the mail because I know that you guys were still on the former Netflix DVD.com train,
Yes.
and you rode that till the tracks fell off."
I know. It's so fun. Oh,
But
wow.
that was a great way to see movies. Great
Yeah.
way to test movies. Great way to catch up on classic movies.
Mhm.
Because the worst thing is me telling someone about a movie and then they say, "Oh, don't worry, I have every streaming service under the sun," and they come back and they text
I
me or
can't
whatever
find
and say, "I can't find it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can't
That's
find it."
fair.
Because
Yeah.
streaming is all about licensing. And just like you were saying, Bone, as Warner Brothers returns to lending it out to like your Netflix or whatever it is, it's because they're losing money and they need something.
Right.
And
Yeah, it's a
but there's
band-aid. A
so
temporary band-aid. Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands of movies, and we complain about it in the physical media world, ones that never made it past VHS, ones that went to streaming but never went
Right.
to physical. There's so many
Yeah.
different things. Couple other comments. I'm going to let the chat support this more than any of us. I say a physical media collector. The boutique labels have been gifting us. Yes. Love and
Nice.
Second Sight over in the UK, Arrow Video UK and US, Criterion mostly US and also UK. Because what they'll do is they'll take something that may not be the most popular, but they'll take something and then it'll give it the grand treatment. And there's nothing more exciting to me as someone who likes like the behind the scenes stuff to be like, "Oh, wait a minute. I finally saw a movie last year called Green Room." And it
Right.
was really cool
Oh.
to see,
Yep.
you know, Patrick Stewart as a badass Nazi bad guy. And then all of a sudden, I want to find out more. I can't even find it streaming. How am I going to find out more about this movie? Here
Mhm.
comes
Fair.
Second Sight. They're putting out a new release with all this stuff about it. So, you know, if you're into that extra stuff, that's your only way to get it. And feel free to jump in anytime. I'm just going to keep going through the comments because,
What's your favorite Blu-ray that you own?
ooh, ask me my favorite child. That's easier. It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by some right here. You know,
Oh,
Fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
this 4K is amazing. It reminds me of when I first saw it. And if you remember the magic of the first time you saw Jurassic Park, I don't care who you are, how much you love or hate the movie, that's an amazing movie. And
Yeah.
it rivals some of the stuff we see today, practical and CGI alike.
Taught me good and evil. Like the lawyer getting eaten. I was like, okay, the dinosaur's good. The lawyer's
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife's favorite movie. I was able to go from us watching it on New Yorkers Understand Channel 2 CBS every Easter to being able to introduce my kids to
Oh,
this,
nice.
you know, or watching it on TCM whenever they decide to put it on. But then there's beauty behind it too. And I think this is, as far as saving physical media, it's really going to come down to collectors, and they'll take advantage of collectors too, because you could put out a successful movie like Wonka. And then you say, well, we could just release it as a regular Blu-ray, give a 4K option. Of course, DVD, because that's still a monster. I was looking at top disc sellers. Let me just share this quickly. So when you look at top disc sellers for a couple of weeks ago, this is
Oh my God.
like it's been hovering around 50, 55, but you can see that DVD is still king. It
People
had a
don't
really
know.
good week because, you know, things like, I hate to say it, Fast 10 is still number one in sales. But, you know, That hovers around low 20s. That's always here, 17, 18 and a half. So
Fast and the Furious hurts my brain. I get it, but it hurts my brain.
Okay, this is real life world happening here. So I forgot to turn off. I forgot to put my computer on D&D, so any of my text messages are popping up on my screen. My youngest daughter, who doesn't live with me, just said, "Where can I watch the birds?"
Oh,
I don't know.
You see the poster behind me. You don't have to wonder.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Hey, Daddy, where can I watch the birds?"
Probably one of those like,
"Sorry, baby girl, it's not streaming anywhere."
I think there's a Turner Classic
Tubi?
Movie. I think is now on HBO Max or Max, and I think they have a whole
they have a wide selection there.
collection. I think that's one of the Hitchcock movies.
Right, because they fought to keep it, right? Was that the big?
Yeah.
Huh.
Where can I watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation? Because I need something good. Like, I need some good entertainment.
Okay, I do have an answer for her. Give me a second to respond because it's my baby girl. I got to respond.
Again today? Oh my God! Sorry guys, I'm changing my battery. I don't know what is going on.
I've got the Shao Kahn helmet. Just
Elgato strikes again
on Amazon Prime. There you go.
Hey,
Amazon Prime.
I was surprised, but it's sad that that's not the standard and more of a, kind of like a one-off that something like that, something older, classic, but still older can be found on a streaming service. I think a lot of times physical media collectors collect as much as they do because if they're like me, I don't want to get caught where I'm like, oh man, I'm in the mood to watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah.
I can't find it.
When I say I need an Oscar-worthy performance of acting quality, Mortal Kombat Annihilation's next up on my brain. Where do I see that?
Oh my gosh. Thanks for listening in, Jane. Thank you. We get this? Funimation was a real warning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were saying about digital copies.
Yeah.
Man.
For a while, I was on that train. I would only do like digital codes, digital copies, because it was, like Tracy was saying, a matter of room. And I was like, this is not mine. What if something happens? And I was still missing out. The behind the scenes stuff, the availability. I'm like, for a few dollars more, I could get a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
That
Funimation thing, that was bad. That was a really bad situation. I
tell
own
people what happened for those that don't know, John.
Oh, okay. So Funimation essentially closed down. They had a merger with Crunchyroll, and essentially pretty much everything was just like taken off, wasn't it? So it was like a real big thing where if you had bought anything off of Funimation and you had something where it's like, oh, I own these movies. Once they did the merger, you did not own those movies. Like you could not find them on Crunchyroll once they had it. And people were like, well, where's my stuff? How come I can't get it? And all of a sudden they had no real answer for you. And it kind of showed you that that was one of the biggest, I think, situations where just because you own it digitally doesn't mean anything. It could just go away almost immediately. And we saw what happened. We really did.
Yep. And the thing is, the version that you have or that maybe they're 1 week and they decide to change it, or they decide to put a warning, or now it's culturally insensitive. You know what? If I'm watching a movie, I know there's going to be something like blackface. I know there's going to be. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie. I know he's going to say the N-word a couple of times. Things like that. Yeah. That's like it's art. You gotta take what comes along with it. Now, I'm sure nobody expects to see a donkey show when they're watching a comedy, but if it happens, it happens.
Well, that's fair. When I turned on Atlas to watch that on Netflix today, I didn't think that I would see absolute nightmare fuel, but that's what I saw the whole time. It was just absolute horror. Like, Bird Box, when they open their eyes, that's what they saw. It was Atlas. The Bird Box people were having to watch the early preview for the Atlas movie.
Oh man,
my
that's terrible.
I cried how many titles never made it past digital release. How many never made it off VHS? Yeah. So
Yeah.
many are still living on DVD, and it's okay because that's still the moneymaker.
So many people don't even know, like, the quality difference. Like, they think that if they put a DVD into their Blu-ray player, like, yeah, I might upgrade it a little bit, like, kind of, but not really. And they think that that's fine. And it's like, oh my God, like, it's almost like the Wizard of Oz, like when Dorothy's like in the black and white and then goes into the Technicolor world. It's a huge difference. And yeah, it's sad.
It is. And you know, I get it. Some people don't care. They're like, I don't have a big screen OLED 4K. So even if I did it, my DVDs will look terrible then. I'm fine with this, or I'm fine with streaming. Or, you know, people like, what's the difference between Blu-rays and 4Ks? Why do you got to get a 4K? Because I care about the quality of that. I care about the fidelity of the sound, or the way the image looks, or whatever it is. And it's not for everybody. The numbers show that. But for the people that care about it, you want to give them an option. So
yeah, I think one of the biggest recent examples was, you know, you guys were talking about like certain movie experiences where it was like packed. And it was when I went to see Beau's Afraid, the Ari Aster film. Yeah, I know it's a super niche audience, and it like the theater was packed. They released the movie without a Blu-ray or 4K. I think it was just like, and people were like, what? Like this, like
right?
Yeah. Another example of that is Poor Things. I mean, that thing is so beautiful, so colorful. Production design, costume design. You want to see that in the best format possible. Blu-ray only. Get it at Walmart.
Yeah.
You're going to look at it better on like a Kaleidoscope or a Kaleidoscape or on streaming. I think it's on Hulu or whatever. Then you could look at it on physical.
That's horrible.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Cody says, I went to watch a movie on streaming and it had a warning before the movie, and it was kind of a spoiler as I was able to figure it out during my viewing. Yeah, it takes away. It takes away from it.
It's like the spoiler they had during the Joker 2 trailer. And I'm not going to say what that was.
Yeah.
And then everyone was kind of like, well, what are they talking about? It was just Lady Gaga.
It's like, if you don't know, it's like you kind of want to keep it quiet. But
yeah. It wasn't that big. Yeah.
Kira and I love music as much as films. I've always loved to see the resurgence of vinyl as much as we are big vinyl collectors. And I think that's what it is too. As you see people getting back into physical, it's not just the I want to see it when I want to see it, but it's like we've seen like renaissance periods for other physical medias come around. Like how many people are looking for like original cartridges of like Atari 2600s and, you know, what was the Sega Genesis? You know, that stuff is coming around again because, you know, 8-bit was fun. It wasn't hard. So, you know, you see it in other types of things. So it's almost like it's a matter of time. I've had such terrible internet till 6 months ago and never left physical media behind. Yeah. You want it when you want it.
That's a fair way to look at it.
That was on, I don't want to give it away, but I think it was, who was the star of that? Was it Mahershala Ali? It was a recent streaming film.
Yeah, Leave the World Behind or something, right?
Yeah.
I think that gave a nice little lesson about the importance of physical media without even realizing it. I enjoyed that one. It was okay.
I did too.
Always browse secondhand shops. And we'll stop by the DVD or Blu-ray section. Yeah. Getting back to that. That is a wild question. But, you know, some people do. Some people like, oh, this one easily. I'm like, get into the thousands and ask you that question again. It becomes harder because, you know, too many factors. Let's see. I'm going to get ready to land this plane because I don't want to keep these people too long. I'm thankful for your time tonight. That is for sure. Burbs on physical. That's nice. And Bone, if you want, I have Mortal Kombat Annihilation on that shelf over there off camera. So
yeah. It has to be on its own because you can't put sub-tier movies with a great tier movie, or it literally diminishes the quality. So like, if you were to put Jaws doesn't belong on Mortal Kombat Annihilation shelf.
And it's not. Jaws is behind me because I keep the important ones close.
Put it with the others.
I mean, like literally, I could just like reach. I'll pull 2 since you have the one behind you. So you see, 4K Steelbook. It's official. It's official. But you know, right next to it, I think 1 and 2 could go together. Everything else is not fair. Qualified.
Yeah. As long as you keep the real quality away from that stuff, that's fine.
Good answer, Del. She could watch the birds on physical when she's home. When she's home. See, Cody agrees with you.
That's what's up. I mean, the best Johnny Cage, the best acting, the best dialogue.
Yeah. Well,
the effects.
This is why he doesn't review movies, people.
Yeah.
There you go. Back to the streaming. It's on
I'm
Tubi.
not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I think everything's on Tubi.
Right where it belongs.
Yeah.
It should be on YouTube, just free.
Not for nothing.
Just, here it is.
And not to go back into streaming, but that might be find a way to be a successful model. I don't know how, but people are more willing to watch something on Tubi than a paid streaming service, and they get numbers. I don't know what it is.
All their movies are 90 minutes or less for the most part. Like almost all of them. You can sit there, watch it, and be done. And they're bad enough, but not too bad where it's like, I don't want to watch. They're just bad enough where it's like, this is a comedy. And you just treat it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing. Want accessibility to anything I want to watch on the fly. And that's why collections get big, because it's like, well, I like that movie once. I might like it again. I'm going to buy it. Never heard of Crunchyroll. My son is anime right now. He didn't even hear you. If you're into anime, you want to be up on Crunchyroll. Yeah. That was sad.
Or not move. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we want it all. Maybe not.
What a decision that ended up being.
Yeah, thanks, Sony. And the sad thing is, I'm sure a lot of people got scared that they purchased through like Sony's entertainment store.
Yes.
That if it happened with that, it could happen to other things that they purchased through the store. So let's see. Yeah, and this goes back to streaming and everything. With Willow, lasted 1 season, was written off as a tax break.
I did my part to get that show removed from existence. You're part
of the problem.
I was part of the problem, because I'm not gonna lie. I said every week I reviewed that right afterwards. I said this needs to be deleted from human existence.
See, do you have any nostalgia for the IP, or it's just like, no, this is not that?
I think that what they did to the original Willow was so bad by making the new one that out of respect to the other one, they needed to destroy that one. Yeah, some things need to be destroyed. Like if you find the Book of the Dead, you're not supposed to read from it. If you find a copy of the Willow TV show from Disney Plus, you have to just burn it, like attempt to. It probably won't burn. I don't know how they deleted it.
Let's see. People are talking about different things here. Let's see. Recently had someone come in my home for the first time, looked at my shelves upon shelves of Blu-rays and 4Ks and remarked, "You've got a lot of DVDs." It's all one to people. It's all one to people. DVDs, Blu-rays. You should have seen me trying to explain it to my parents.
That's them just not knowing. That's what it is. It's someone not really knowing, probably someone who doesn't have physical media like that, and then boom, there you go.
Yeah, and the problem is that's the majority of people.
Yeah.
There you go. More love for MK Annihilation.
Yeah. I mean, God. If you think about like when they were making John Wick 1, they said, how do we do a good fight scene? They immediately were like, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. We got to learn.
Tubi. Yes. Tubi wins the award for worst ad placements. Like mid-sentence, somebody takes a breath and it goes to a commercial.
That's awesome.
It's like someone makes a pregnant pause in the middle of a sentence. And then next thing you know, you're looking at Huggies.
Every time.
That's so
Not
good.
to mention the volume switch. You might be watching something, the volume's low, then it just blasted out. So you're like, wait a minute. Goodness.
Jeff, don't worry. KB, Sony already scared digital PS3 buyers by shutting down the storefront.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow. Wow. I still have my PS3, but it's strictly for Blu-ray watching. There you go. Never seen Willow, but I don't like that they did.
They had
My
to.
biggest problem is with them just canceling shows and movies and writing them off. Like, I don't care if it's good or bad. They put out enough bad stuff that the possibility of something good getting written off is bad to me.
It's a bad precedent, but that they ended up in such a bad financial situation because of it that it was going to cost them so much just to keep it on. And that's part of the problem. They need to fix the system of just keeping it on there was going to just money was going to keep flowing out whether people watched it or not. And I was like, well, that's bad. But I all joking aside, seriously, I'd rather stare at the sun than watch that movie.
It is a bad precedent.
Show, not movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a bad precedent where it's just, but they did it for cost cutting. They were always going to do that.
Because it was tied to, it was losing money even if it didn't get views. I don't know how they worked that deal out where if it's on there, you get paid instead of like, if it gets watched, you get paid. They were going to have to pay out just for having it on the surface.
Continue.
Yeah. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you have to serve like licensing and everything like that, but that's your license. You own
you made it.
Lucasfilm.
You own it.
So it's not like you're getting it from somebody else. And that's a little bit weird. Now the Batgirl thing.
I know.
I don't know.
I do want to see that movie, especially after like Drinkers behind the scenes that a lot of people think that was actually not a bad movie necessarily. Yeah. And if if Critical Draker's saying that and based on people he's talked to, that's a really fair shake because he wouldn't go that way. Like he wouldn't, I don't know. I'm interested. Someone's going to leak it one day. Someone will leak it one day.
It's going to be leaked, but it's got to be better than that show that Ruby Rose did.
Oh, for sure. The CW show? Yeah.
Or is it Ruby Rose, Charlie? Somebody like the Charlie Rose? Somebody
no, I think
Rose,
it's Ruby
but
Rose,
she
right?
did it.
Yeah.
I just know that because The Meg is, another fine film. The Meg 2. And I highly recommend if you watch The Meg 2, just don't watch the last 30 minutes, just the first hour and a half. It's all dialogue and, no sharks.
Tough stuff. Tough stuff.
Okay. I'm going to keep everyone in the panel view here and just go around and how do you see it? How do you see it? Any area, all of them together? Pull out your crystal ball.
They need to do lower budgets, smaller budgets, and do what the smaller film companies are doing. And I think like those are still wins. Those are still like astronomical wins. It's like, oh, a movie made $20 million. That's small in this landscape. No, that's still a lot of money. That's still $20 million. And I think that if they think like that moving forward and focus on quality, not quantity, I still get really overwhelmed thinking about how all of the streaming services put out, and this is like streaming services now, not Hollywood, but they put out so much content and they spend so much money on it. And that gives me like anxiety just thinking about how much they're putting out there, not necessarily gaining new subscribers. And I don't know, it needs a whole overhaul. And they have to be ready for a generation that doesn't go to the movies, which is sad, but it's the truth.
Yearly contracts are coming. When Netflix gets all the live stuff, everybody's going to freak out on all the other platforms, and they're going to create new strategies to become the new Netflix killers, because there's been a Netflix killer every year since 2006, it feels like. And everybody will try to figure out how they can game the system, and most will lose. Amazon will be fine because they have the money. Apple will be fine because they have the money. But a lot of the others will lose, and they will find ways to either merge or not exist.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm going with one of two things that could happen. I got my crystal ball. the Marvel's popcorn bucket. This is where all my good ideas come from. I'm going to go with consolidation in the streaming industry is going to happen. And I think that it's going to have to be allowed through like rules and regulations for the sake of the consumer, but I don't think it will benefit the consumer. I think it'll happen, but in the long run, it will not be good for the consumer. The other scenario I think is that it breaks, like that the entertainment industry hits a point where it's no longer profitable in a way, and a lot of things close. We see this in gaming right now. A lot of studios are being shut by Microsoft. I'm sure the same is going to happen across the board with entertainment movie studios. When they break, I think that could end up being a reset in terms of quality because competition is going to increase. You're not going to hire every director. You're going to have to, hopefully we'll get past the like hire your buddy, and it'll be, you have to prove you can do this. Because Disney is the ultimate culprit of, they started hiring people for Marvel stuff that didn't need to be doing Marvel stuff.
That's true.
There needs to be, I hate to say this because there will be a bad time, but usually bad times create, like it's a chance to break through and get the junk out and clean it out and go forward. And independent creators will have a better shot going forward. I hope.
Yeah. Just going off the notes that I just found, because I had these for when we were going to do this in March. I'm going to go back to Cord Jefferson's speech at the Oscars. Instead of making one $200 million movie, try making 20 $10 million movies. I think that might be the only saving grace for the studios as far as being able to turn a profit from box office. And it's really sad because that is what's going to affect the streaming. And that's what's going to affect the physical media, you know. But when you have comic book movies like The Flash and sequels like the last Indiana Jones movie, which clocked in at what, like around 600 million collectively and couldn't break even, you know, the opportunities and the challenges start to make a trend. And hopefully independent filmmakers win, smaller studios win. The big ones, it's kind of like they will eat themselves in some way.
I agree with that. I think they are. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish I found this earlier because I had some really good questions for you guys, but I think we had a really good panel. And I think everyone that was in the chat really enjoyed it. Let me just take one more look and then we'll land this plane. Let's see. Someone was asking if you have Instagrams to follow. I know Nerdy Film Girl does. The guys, you're both YouTube, right?
Yeah,
I don't have Instagram at all.
Yeah, we'll go to, there's somebody out there with your name, by the way.
Is there really?
With John's name.
Oh no, I own my name everywhere. I just don't like. I have my, I own the Instagram name. I have the Twitter. I have yeah. I just don't use it.
Yeah.
I'm following him. So
quality over quantity, smaller budgets, original storytelling.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. I hate to say it, sequels, adaptations will still continue to be king. Whether they're good or not is another story. If they pull back, they should pull back budgets and also spread the theater to home release. Stream wise, I really hope we don't get contracts and bundles, but it's coming. It's coming. All that stuff is coming. Big budgets like Marvel deliver something else. This still going to see it as a moneymaker. It's sad but true. The success of Deadpool and Wolverine is going to tell Marvel that we could do something. We can make money off of this.
They'll think everything's going to do great. They'll apply it to stuff that they shouldn't.
Don't be surprised if you see like a cookie cutter version of some character being like Deadpool.
And you know, just real quick, I think I can phrase this in a way that doesn't give spoilers for the Fall Guy. But when the villain of the film says to Emily Blunt, "That's why I chose you, because I could mold you as a director," I think that is exactly a total FU coming from the Chloe Zhao's and the Nia DaCostas and anyone that's worked for Marvel or Star Wars that wasn't necessarily prepared for something like that and just took orders and then just jumped ship. You know, when she left, I thought exactly when Nia DaCosta left early from the Marvels to do her own project. And
Yeah.
in that film,
Smartest
they're
move.
like, "You can leave." Like she's like, "You can leave too. You know, don't worry about it. We've got it covered here." It's like that's exactly what they were showing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul draws, as I'll be honest, as much as I love Spider-Man, I got too burned out. It's because they open the garden hose full blast on you. It's like
That's
we
fair.
make a little bit of money, we're going to make a lot. And honestly, and this is going back to a video I saw earlier, things really ended after Endgame. I'll admit it. I'll admit it. You know, Endgame was kind of like the end of everyone appreciating a good Marvel movie. So you could get the brothers back. You could get a popular character. You could get RDJ back. It's not going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. Great stream. Thank you, Prince. Thank you, Basket Garden. Thank you, everyone in the chat, everyone lurking, everyone on the replay. We appreciate it. It's always nice to see Tracy, and hopefully you get to know these two guys as well. If you do not, I will throw up their info once again. We have Nerdy Film Girl in the top right quadrant. We have Jon Automates in the bottom right, and we got the Bonebridger in the bottom left. I want to thank each of you for coming on tonight. This was fun. Definitely
good time.
wait. Like I said, I
Yeah.
wanted to do this like right after Oscars, but I'm glad we waited because some crazy things have happened since then.
Yeah.
So, and it's just the beginning of the summer blockbuster season.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Memorial Day is Monday, but you know, Marvel, Top Gun Maverick let us know that May something, summertime. So
Yeah,
it's all
absolutely.
about that.
Agreed.
Definitely, you two guys, I want to get you back on, have a conversation with you where we could just talk movies as movie lovers, not focus on the business side of things, because at the end of the day, we all love movies. So definitely be talking about that with you in the future. To everyone in the chat, I still see comments coming in. Thank you. I'm trying to be sensitive of time here, but I want to say thank you for joining us. Come back next week. I forgot who I'm gonna have. I gotta take a look and see because schedules are mad. One of your favorite Instagrammers. That's all I'll say. Look on IG. You'll see the story soon. But until next time, go watch a movie. Streaming, theater, your physical media collection, just go watch a movie. It's the best thing to do. Good night, everyone.